today's video is a review of this, well, not this particular thing, but of The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. I don't have the physical copy with me, actually. I have the ebook version on my Kindle app, and I also have an audiobook. And this time around, this is a reread for me, and so this time around I mostly listened to the audiobook. I had started rereading The Hobbit like back in January, after watching The Desolation of Smaug. Did I say that right? Smog? I don't know. Marlene? I don't know how to say your name, I'm sorry. I'll link her video down below, but she is hosting Summer of Lord of the Rings, hashtag Summer of Lord of the Rings read along. And so, you know, the idea is to read the Lord of the Rings trilogy this summer. And I'm like, oh, it's about time that I reread this trilogy anyways, and I'm already reading The Hobbit, so let me jump on this train. It's basically non-spoilery. If you watch the movies, then there are no spoilers. And if you haven't, why? I give it 5 stars. I really enjoyed this book. I know it's not quite as popular, at least like among the Lord of the Rings fans that I know. It's not necessarily like the most popular book because it's not technically part of the trilogy, but it's part of like Middle Earth. It's so important. And I love it because it is such an excellent step into Middle Earth. Like the Lord of the Rings, the series, it's a little, not in a bad way or anything, I don't think, but Tolkien is very wordy, he's very descriptive, he is very adultish in the trilogy, as he should be because it's an adult series. With The Hobbit, as far as I know, it's intended for a younger audience because there's just enough description, there is character development, there is action, there's lots of action, there's lots of adventure, there's lots of fantastical things, and it's just, you know, I kind of wish that I had read The Hobbit when I was younger. My favorite parts, if you've seen the movies, you already know of these 2 parts, which were the Riddles in the Dark with Gollum. Yeah, I've just, the first time I read this book, like 3 years ago, I was like, this is so brilliant, Bilbo is so gangster, Bilbo got it. Get it, Bilbo. And when I heard that Peter Jackson finally decided to make these movies, like honestly, if the movie had just been The Riddles in the Dark, I would have been happy, honestly. Of course, I'm glad there's everything else, but that is the scene that I was most excited about. That is still like one of my favorite scenes, and that's definitely one of my favorite scenes from the 2 movies combined so far. It's so fun. I'm terrible with riddles. I would have died. Gollum would have had me as a snack that day if I had been Bilbo. I just don't. So I find it so fascinating. I'm just like, how do you get to that? Of course that's how you go, but still, like, what? I'm terrible with riddles. So yes, Riddles in the Dark is like my #1 favorite scene from The Hobbit. My second one is Bilbo and Smaug. Oh, Smaug, you're so fantastic. Oh, Smaug, you're so magnificentical, and you are so terrifyingly big, and you're so terrifyingly rich and evil and wah. I mean, again, it just shows how Bilbo is like quick on his feet. He is so like witty, and he's just got it. He's got it. I love Bilbo so much. Can you tell? And then another scene that would be coming up in this next movie, I'm sure, is Bilbo going back home, like coming home, and everybody's like, oh, hi, Bilbo, as they walk off with his furniture and stuff, and he's like, what the heck, man? and then he has to buy all his stuff back. I don't know. I find it very amusing, and now that like I have a human face, Martin Freeman as Bilbo, like well, technically hearing, but reading that part again was just so amusing because I can just imagine like Martin's face, and I'm so excited. Another scene that I'm kind of excited for is a typical Lord of the Rings. Well, when I think Lord of the Rings, when I ask people, what do you think of Lord of the Rings? The first thing they usually say is awesome battle scenes, which is excellent because the battle scenes are fantastically executed in the trilogy. And I'm really excited to see what Peter Jackson does with the Battle of the Five Armies. And I'm really excited to like see Thorin come charging out after really putting his foot in his mouth and just being rude to Bilbo. This has nothing to do like with the actual book. One thing about like listening to an audiobook for reading is that sometimes I don't always have like pen and paper with me. It's not like I can like doggy flap the page when things like extra special happen. That's not the Hobbit's fault. And that's not the audiobook's fault either. It's just, you know, that's how things happen. And I didn't think, oh hey, I should whip out my phone and make a note about this part that I found really awesome. Sorry, Bilbo. Like I said earlier, I give the book 5 stars. I just think it's a great start into fantasy period, into Middle Earth period. It gives you just that much background, and I mean it's kind of like novellas, really, like what we do as novellas nowadays. Like it's not needed, but it's needed because there's so much like background information about like Bilbo. And then you get some Gloin, who is the father of Gimli, and you get some Gandalf awesomeness, and you have Elrond, and then you have like Legolas's papa. You know, I mean, there's a lot of like extra background history, and if you're into that kind of stuff, this is definitely a book you should read. I have The Fellowship of the Ring just ready to be read, and I'm excited to just continue to dive further in and just revisit my old friends in Middle Earth.